Hello there, welcome to the School Heed YouTube channel. Hope you're having a good day, and if not, I hope it becomes a better day. Now, all I wanted to do this video for is hopefully quite a short video, but obviously, you know, if you're a Liverpool fan, and if you're not a Liverpool fan, you also know that we're not doing too well right now, and there's a lot of things going on. You know, again, I've mentioned it before, social media, and especially with football fans, things can kick off very, very, very quickly. And the thing with that is, I can understand where people are coming from, and I do understand where people that are perhaps in a more, we need to be making changes, making loads more changes. Some people even perhaps looking for perhaps a different manager to come in. And I'm going to come across all of those different things in what will hopefully be an under 10-minute video for once, because I know I don't always do them very short anyway. But obviously, we've got to look at our season so far. We're top of the group in the Champions League, but we're lucky to be there. We're lucky to be top of the group. We're lucky that we came up against a team like Maribor and were able to smash 7 goals in and be able to quite handily take over the goal difference from the second place team. I can't remember who the second place team is. It might be Sevilla. It might even be Moscow. Can't remember. But anyway, we're top of the group there. I think we've got Maribor next in the Champions League, and that'll be at Anfield, and we'll probably, hopefully, beat them as well. And then we've got to move on and see where we do there. So, Champions League aside, we're out of the Carabao Cup. We played a completely different team that sort of night, and you know, it didn't work for us. The Premier League, it's not looking great. It really isn't. We've finished this weekend in 9th. Okay? Now, I went and wrote an article. It's my very first dabble into writing. And this isn't just a plug for me writing stuff, but it was for a website called All Out Football. I will leave a link in the description for it if you want to go read it. What I focused on was Liverpool's managers in the Premier League era. I could have gone further back, but generally, I wasn't old enough to even appreciate any of those managers. I wouldn't have been alive when those managers were in charge. I was born in 1987. So around about 1993 was when I really started paying attention to football and stuff like that. And there were some blank periods when I was growing up, where, like when I was a teenager and stuff, where I actually didn't watch football at all. I kind of not grew out of it. I just wasn't into it at that point. But as it always seems to be, if you've got a, you know, we're a Scouse family. I don't sound Scouse, but we are a Scouse family. All of my family members are from Liverpool. It's just how it is. And you know that if you are from Liverpool yourself, you know that you are either a red or you're a blue. So you're either red or you're wrong. Okay? It's one of those. And they would say the same. You're either a blue or you're wrong. It is just how it is. And football always comes back to you. And it does. And it is a wonderful thing. You know, you've got to take aside all the different things of like how much players are paid and everything like that. And I'm not going to go on too much of a tangent here because I want to try and keep on point. We have seen, as Liverpool fans, some really good managers, some great managers that have managed to do some miraculous things for us. The most notable one will have been Rafa Benitez and the Champions League. Probably behind that you've got Gerard Houllier and the treble. Then you've probably got some of the seasons that we had with Roy Evans as well. Roy Evans was a very good manager for us early on as well. Brendan Rodgers getting us second with the Luis Suarez team, the Suarez and Sturridge team. Probably quite a bit after that, you've got Jurgen Klopp and finishing 4th last season. It's key to remember that Jurgen Klopp's only been in charge for just over 2 years as well, so keep that one in mind as well. What I was doing in the article that I wrote was to look at every single year that Liverpool had been in the Premier League. Where did we finish? And under what manager was it, and what happened for that manager to leave? Now, obviously, you look at Roy Evans. Roy Evans, I think, you know, I don't have the info in front of me right now because it's on my computer, and my computer is updating at the moment, which is fantastic, which is why I'm not recording it with my proper microphone. But, like, he got a lot of top 4 finishes. And then there was that weird season that they had where they tried to combine Houllier and Evans, and it just didn't work, and they finished 7th, which meant that only one of those guys was going to survive. and it wasn't going to be Roy Evans because he wasn't what they would call at that time a continental manager. So obviously Houllier did come in, and he got his sole season in charge. And I think it was 3 seasons in that we got our highest finish in the Premier League at that point, which was second. And then there was one season where it might have been 2003-04. I think it was. It was the season just before Benitez came in, and he finished 5th. Houllier finished 5th, and that was it. Obviously, he'd had some health problems a couple of years beforehand, but regardless of that, he'd spent money, had quite a bit of investment, hadn't really spent it well. The signings that he made weren't having a great deal of effect on the team. Moving on, obviously Rafa Benitez came in. Obviously, it didn't actually. No, I think it's actually Houlier's last season. I don't know actually. Houlier's last season, I think he finished 4th. I think I got that wrong. And in Benitez's first season in the Premier League, he finished 5th. But in Benitez's first Premier League season, he won the Champions League with Liverpool. So I mean, it kind of offsets, what happened in the Premier League because he did that. Probably modern Liverpool fans' biggest memory of anything good, amazing, miraculous happening to Liverpool and our team being able to pull off what is nothing short of a heroic performance. Obviously, move a couple of years on and he got second with Liverpool. I think we were 4 points off Man United at the end. I think of our last 11 games, we won 10 of them. We had, it was the time when we had Gerrard and Torres absolutely, smashing them in. I think that season as well, I think we'd had, it was one of those Januaries that we had last year where we didn't really perform very well and kind of slipped away. The season after that, though, the wheels fell off, big style. I think he finished 7th. He was always at odds with the owners at that point, which I think was Hicks and Gillett or Gillette. I never really know how you say the second one. I don't want to say Gillette like it's the best your nan can get. But anyway, it's one of those, isn't it? It's like he's always at odds, and we all know how the whole thing with the owners panned out, and it was fantastic. Oh, no, it wasn't. But still, Benitez got moved on anyway. Roy Hodgson, the less said about that, the better. Kenny Dalglish comes in the January of the season that Roy Hodgson got appointed, brought in Luis Suarez, Andy Carroll, Torres left, and obviously I didn't know who Suarez was at that point, didn't know what kind of player he was, but even so, brought us some good players, but even so, in the time that he was in charge, I think he finished 6th and 8th, which actually mirrors Graham Souness's first seasons in the Premier League as well. I think he finished 6th and 8th as well. Moving forward, Brendan Rodgers came in, and I think he finished 7th in his first season, 2nd, and then 6th. Didn't get to finish his 4th season because Jurgen Klopp came in. I can't overlook that season where we obviously came 2nd, because that was probably one of my favourite seasons to go back and look at on a purely footballing sense for a Liverpool fan, because it was just unbelievable football all the time. Yes, our defence let us down, which is still things that we suffer from today, only probably a little bit worse if I'm being honest. Obviously we then moved forward to Jurgen Klopp, and he finished 4th in his first full season, but in the season that he took over from Brendan Rodgers, finished 8th. So we were out of any European competition or anything like that. Did quite well, got to the final in the Europa League that season. Obviously we know how that story went with the Dortmund game, and that was a magnificent game as well. But still, all the way through this period, through the Premier League, we've had managers that have come so close, that have come 2nd, they've won other cups. We've never obviously won the Premier League. We know that, and other fans of other clubs know that as well, because that is the one thing they will always hold against us if there's ever going to be an argument. And if you go on Twitter and you see arguments between Liverpool fans and other opposition fans, and they've won the title even once, that is the first thing that they'll come back to. And we can be like, yeah, we've won the Champions League, and they'll just be like, hey, you've not won the Premier League though, so get away, mate. And it's kind of fair enough, because we haven't. We've been very close. Close but no cigar is pretty much the way I've summed it up. Now this season, we're sitting in 9th at the moment, and it does mirror a lot of what I see about Brendan Rodgers' third season in charge, where we ended up finishing 6th. And we weren't doing well. We didn't start the season very well. We obviously had discontent. You know, you're never going to replace someone like Luis Suarez. And I'm very well aware that this video is now going to be over 10 minutes, so bear with me. You're never going to replace someone like Luis Suarez. You certainly don't try and do it with someone like Balotelli. Regardless of what he's doing at Nice right now, you just don't. It's not one of those that you just think, Suarez, Balotelli, that is the one. No, it wasn't. It really wasn't. It was bad. Sturridge was always injured. We had a terrible, terrible Champions League campaign. It was just not good. It was not good whatsoever. We finished 6th that season, but we struggled a lot. We had some good performances here and there, but not enough. Does that sound similar? It does. It does. And I've said it a couple of times. I've said it when I went. I did a live video with full-time reaction and memes. And I said it then. A lot of what I'm seeing at the moment, and this was back. We had just been smashed by Man City at that point. We'd just been smashed by Man City 5-0. And I said at that point, it's starting to feel a lot like the 14-15 season, where we weren't doing well in the Champions League, and we weren't at this point. We hadn't played Maribor yet. You know, we just got some draws and stuff like that, which is just, you know, classic Liverpool. We weren't necessarily putting the performances in the Premier League. We're still not. We've got knocked out of a cup already. Things are starting to mirror a lot of what happened to Brendan Rodgers and previous. Obviously, in this modern era, especially since 2010, you could probably make a case for Roy Hodgson being the worst thing that happened to us in the modern era, because it took us so many levels down in such a short space of time. So many poor performances. And how Kenny Dalglish managed to actually salvage something out of it, like getting 6th place and such like that, it was miraculous. And again, you could also say it's misinvestment. Premier League managers of Liverpool in the past have had investment, but there have also been times where the purse strings have been firmly shut. Benitez suffered that a lot, he felt. You know, and there was other times when obviously you've got like Houllier, who got investment and misspent it. We claim to have investment, mass investment, that Jurgen Klopp was going to have 200 million to play with in the transfer window that just gone. And my belief would be he can't have had that much money to play with, because we spent nowhere near that amount of money. Mohamed Salah came in at about 36 million, I think, something like that, maybe a little bit more. Oxlade-Chamberlain came in, so I mean you're looking at maybe 70 million there. Other players, I think Solanke came in, and I don't know if a fee ever got settled for that. I don't know if that's still going to a tribunal or whatever. And I'm actually trying to remember who else we signed. That's quite bad. But we didn't really sign anybody of note, like apart from Salah. So we didn't like spend massive amounts or anything like that. And we, you know, it's ridiculous really, because this is where we're going to get left behind. Will purely be in investment, because if we don't get a very vast amount of investment, never mind the fact of what Man City have been able to do for years now, since 2008 I think it is. Man United, since they seem to have sorted out their debts and stuff like that, and they can freely spend whatever money because they generate most of their money or whatever from advertising and marketing and such like that, whatever. That's why they can go and spend 90 million on Pogba, 75 million on Lukaku, and etc. etc. Never mind that Chelsea have been doing it since 2003 or 2004. They've been able to spend quite a bit of money. Newcastle are on the verge of being taken over by someone that was linked to Liverpool. I think her name was Amanda Staveley. She's part of a company or something, or a company or consortium that is worth 28 billion. And she's already signed some sort of, private agreement or something like that, confidentiality agreement She's already signed some sort of agreement to do with Newcastle, and that looks like that will be something that actually happens, which is great for Newcastle because those guys have been getting screwed over left, right, and centre for years. You know, there was that miracle season where they came up from the Championship and Alan Pardew took over and took them to 5th. But then, since then, they've been skirting with the Premier League, got relegated, brought back up by Benitez, you know, who's got them playing pretty damn well. He's got them doing, I think they're higher in the league than we are right now. What can you say? They get that investment, though, that really could turn Newcastle into a top 6 team. And it should turn Newcastle into a top 6 team. You've got Everton that while they've sacked Koeman right now, they've got investment. They've got a lot of money in that team, in that club right now. And they're obviously looking at Koeman and just thought, you aren't going to spend my money how I want it spent properly. You've spent money and you're like 16th or something in the table. You're not the one I want to be dealing with. I'm moving you on. And that's ruthless. And that is pretty much how it has to be. Obviously, you've got the spending of Man City, Chelsea, Man United. Tottenham don't necessarily spend a great deal, but they spent a lot years ago. And you've still got not a lot of those players, but I think maybe Eriksen is the standout one from that point when they bought like 7 players in at once or something like that. Ironically, Paulinho's playing for Barcelona these days. It's funny how the world works, isn't it? But it's one of those. Tottenham have built with a world-class manager who is very good at all 3 aspects of defence, midfield work, and attacking. He's got a world-class front. He's got a world-class striker. He's probably got one of the best informed strikers in the world right now in Harry Kane. Never mind the likes of Son, Dele Alli, those types of guys that are going to do a lot of work for them as well. Gritty midfield and a defence that is nigh on impregnable with a world-class goalkeeper as well. They don't really need to spend a lot of money. They just need to refresh every now and again. So they don't need to go out and splash like 100 million every single transfer window. They're in a good place. That is the place that every team would like to be in. That you don't have to do a complete rehaul or overhaul of your squad. Liverpool, on the other hand, if we keep spending money how we do right now, Jurgen Klopp is going to be up a river in a boat without a paddle. He's going to be up the creek without a paddle. He can only do so much, and I know that he has in the past with Dortmund worked miracles with bringing youth players through and turning them into absolute world stars, or people that you've never really heard of, bringing them over for like cheap money and stuff like that. I think most notably that happened to Lewandowski and Royce. Might be wrong on those two, but even so, bringing them people over into his team when no one really knew who they were. You certainly know who they are now. They're absolutely world class. That's not going to happen all the time. You have to give him the tools to work with. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, we shot ourselves in the foot big style with the whole Virgil van Dijk thing and how we dealt with that, and it wasn't good. And I covered that in the transfer video. If I find it, I'll leave it in an I button notification for you to have a watch of. Even so, you have to give him the tools to work with, because if you don't, we will consistently be either just a top 6 team or lower. And that is just reality. That is literally just reality. We will either be a top 6 team or lower, talking maybe top 8. Because if we don't invest, it doesn't matter if we're Liverpool Football Club or not, one of the biggest clubs in English football history. History only accounts for so much. What we're doing right now doesn't make us relevant. It just makes us a little bit of a laughingstock for everybody else. We need to make sure that we get behind the manager as much as possible until it is literally impossible. We know what it's been like in the past when a manager is going to be riding on into the sunset. What it feels like. The wheels are coming off, everything's wrong, the players maybe, making a couple of comments here or there. None of that sort of stuff's happening at the moment with regards to the manager. We've got to get behind Jurgen Klopp. Because I can't think of another manager that'll come in and do as well as he's done for us. It's not working right now in the Premier League, but I believe he can turn it round. But he needs the investment, and without the investment, again, I'll say it again, he's up the creek without a paddle, and that is not a nice place to be. Anyway, that is the end of this video. Wasn't really the best conclusion, I don't think. Mainly, I just want us all as a fan base to get behind the manager. We can only do so much ourselves. The team and the club and the manager have to do, it's 50-50 in my opinion. That is what we've got to do, and hopefully moving forward we can get some positivity coming to us in the Premier League, and hopefully we can start moving up the table and stop being such a laughing stock in defence. I don't know. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Am I making any sense? Do you disagree or agree with any of it? Let me know in the comments below. I'm sure you will. If you could like the video, that would be excellent if you can. If you'd like to subscribe, please do. You'll get a lot more videos from me, previews, reviews, and a couple of FIFA videos here and there if you enjoy those as well. So, I hope you like it. Subscribe if you're new around here. Thank you ever so much for watching, as always, and I'll catch you later.